All right, good afternoon. Shall we go ahead and get started? Okay, fantastic. So welcome everyone to our 2022 Community Awards. My name is Ming, and I'm currently a MEMP PhD student, and I was one of the members of the award committee this year. So here in HST, we have this long-standing tradition of conferring a number of annual awards to faculty, staff, and students for outstanding teaching, service, and mentorship. And we're really excited to gather both in person and on Zoom today for our first in-person community awards in 3 years' time. So yeah, it's really special to see everyone here tonight. I think what would be really cool is if we began by also acknowledging the people who are tuning in on Zoom, and they're actually tuning in through that little camera in the back of the room. So if we want to turn around and give them all a wave. Okay, hi everyone on Zoom. And actually, I thought what we could also do is have our Zoom participants wave back at us. So if you are ready, now is your chance to turn off your cameras if you don't want to. So I'm going to, there we go. Oh, sorry. Okay, so, okay, hold on. So I'm going to change the, give me 1 second so I can have everyone wave back at us. Okay, no, let's try again. Okay, let's try that again. There we go. Okay, so hello to our people with cameras on Zoom. Okay, fantastic. All right, so now let's go back to sharing our slides. And then we'll zoom into the podium. Okay. Ooh, okay, fantastic. All right. So let's begin by diving into our first award of the night. Thank you very much, Catherine. And that is our Irving M. London Teaching Award. So the way this will work is for each award, I'll remind you all of what the award was for, and I'll announce the name of the awardee. Then we'll actually introduce some of their nominators to come to the stage and share a few words. We also have some really swanky framed certificates over there for each awardee, but they're really cumbersome. So we've decided that we'll actually save them for the end and give them to you afterwards, and we'll save group pictures for the end as well. They're really much heftier than I thought they would be. Okay, so our first award, the Irving M. London Teaching Award, is presented this year to Dr. Sanjat Kanjalal, who's an instructor at Harvard Med, and also one of the course co-directors of HST 040, Mechanisms of Microbial Pathogenesis. So presenting the award to Sanjat, we have HST MD students, Emily Schneider, Andrea Garmia, and Eliana Maristika, who have left us a pre-recorded message to explain why Sanjat is so awesome. Okay, so we'll let them speak for themselves.
It is an absolute honor.
Hold on, let's increase the audio a bit.
It is an absolute honor to present Sanjat Kanjalal with the Irving M. London Teaching Award. Sanjat embodies the essence of HST. When he stepped into the role of course director for HST Micro last fall, he brought with him a steady confidence and an infectious enthusiasm for medicine and science. He taught the core concepts of microbial pathogenesis, which focus on fundamental concepts and biological mechanisms, and then expanded our knowledge by integrating presentations of cutting-edge research, critical analysis of clinical diagnostic processes, and the intersections of infectious disease and public health. He expertly wove together these topics and effortlessly navigated the complexities to engage us every day in class.
Throughout Micro, Sanjat showed a tremendous amount of respect and consideration for his students. Without fail, he took the time to answer questions both during class and offline. He sought out our feedback halfway through the course and implemented those changes immediately. He fostered a learning environment that encouraged curiosity and inspired us as learners. He tirelessly put a monumental amount of effort into growing the course, creating helpful resources for students, and thinking deeply about how to best structure class time for learning.
It was without hesitation that we nominated Sanjat for this award, because he has positively impacted so many of us, and because we felt so privileged to have had the opportunity to learn from him. His lessons, dedication, and thoughtfulness will stay with us as we transition to the wards and beyond. We could not imagine a more fitting recognition for such an exceptional educator and mentor. Thank you, Sanjat.
So thank you, Emily, Andrea, and Eliana for the video. Now, Sanjat had a conflicting travel conflict today, and so he also left us a pre-recorded message. So let's give the stage to Sanjat, shall we?
Hi, everyone. I'm truly honored to have been chosen for the Irving M. London Teaching Award this year. I consider myself very fortunate for many reasons. whether it was being tapped to direct mechanisms of microbial pathogenesis this past year, or in the tremendous amount of support I've received from HST and HMS to reshape the course based on a vision of what could be. And that vision was for an experience that engaged students as future colleagues, taught them some fundamental principles, exposed them to some amazing research, and above all, strove to have them not only appreciate the complexities of the world we live in, but empower them to actually change it. If there's anyone who deserves my thanks for this award, it's them, because I learned far more from them than they learned from me. And the second person I'd like to thank is my wife for having putting up with me for the past year and a half, and she's a real trooper. And lastly, I'd like to thank my co-director, Kristen Heisel, our amazing TA team, Daniel Solomon, Jake Johnson, and Jeremy Amon for the key roles they played in helping the course through this first year of its transition. Their input and work was invaluable for helping things run smoothly. So thanks again, and I'm sorry that I cannot be there in person to celebrate with you all, but I'm sure we'll have many opportunities to do so in the near future.
And congratulations to Dr. Kanjalal. All right. So our next teaching award of the night is the Outstanding Student Teaching Award. And this is awarded to a current HST student who has shown exceptional contributions as a teaching assistant. This year, we're really delighted to award this prize to Lucas Cahill, yes, who is a PhD alumnus and current MD student for his incredible role in teaching HST 110 renal pathophysiology. So presenting the award, I'd like to please welcome first-year MD student, Iris Wu. So come on up, Iris.
Hi, everyone. It is with great pleasure today here to introduce Lucas to you for the HST Outstanding Student Teaching Award on behalf of all the other nominators. Lucas might have heard of HST slightly earlier than many of us here today. He joined the MEP program in 2015, and as Rick and Bobby would say, came over to the dark side of medicine after he finished his PhD. So other than his incredible sense of humor, what Lucas has also brought to our M1 class was his service as the M1 renal pathophysiology TA. This is the 5th year Lucas has served as a renal TA, and he quickly proved himself to be the most gifted teacher and the most caring TA. I will never be able to capture how great Lucas is to us in a 2-minute introduction, so I'm going to try to highlight a couple qualities that he's universally praised for. Lucas has an enormous breadth of knowledge and, more impressively, an amazing ability to break them down to students from all backgrounds and with all different levels of understandings. He is also infinitely calm and patient for simple, complex, and sometimes even ridiculous questions. It is always easier said than done to say there's no question that's a stupid question, but Lucas has really, truly embraced that for his students. This year, Lucas also faced the unique challenge of being the TA for his own MD class. And he was not only able to navigate switching roles between as a TA and as a classmate with extreme professionalism, but also use his own experience as an MD student to guide the design of study materials and implement them in the way that benefit us the most. Lucas has truly made a world of difference in our HST 110 experience, and I cannot think of anyone that are more deserving than him for this award. So now to receive this very well-earned recognition, let's give our warmest welcome for Lucas Cahill.
Thank you for the introduction, Iris, and thank you for nominating me for the award, and thank you to all those who wrote letters of support for me for this award. I also want to thank the awards committee for selecting me. I'm honored to receive the HST Outstanding Student Teaching Award. I've been very fortunate to work with amazing students, professors, and teaching teams over the years while being a teaching assistant for renal pathophysiology. I want to specifically express my appreciation and thanks to all the students that I've worked with over the years. It was a pleasure seeing firsthand how bright and creative the students are here. Every year, the students have taught me so much through their different learning styles, questions, and insight into the material. I also want to thank Dr. Melissa Young and Dr. Garrod McMahon, the course directors for renal pathophysiology. They've been very supportive, have both directly and indirectly taught me so much about teaching, and have been wonderful mentors. I've also been lucky enough to work with several other course directors over the years, including Dr. Megan Prochaska in my second year TAing, and Dr. Albert Lamb and Dr. Julian Seifter in my first year TAing the course. I also want to thank them for all the work that they put into the course and for their support. Thank you again so much.
Wonderful. Congratulations, Lucas. All right. Our next award of the night is, let me just make sure I get all the descriptions of the awards correct, is the Thomas A. McMahon Mentoring Award. This award was set up a couple years ago to recognize somebody who really, through their generosity of advice to students and colleagues, sets the bar high for excellence in mentorship. And we're delighted to present the award this year to Dr. Ann Shin, who's an assistant professor of psychiatry here at Harvard Med. Presenting the award, we have Nana Okada and Catherine Evans. So I'll welcome you to the stage.
Hi, everyone. I'm not Catherine Evans. I'm Sarah Rubin, and I'm a 7th year MD PhD student, and I'm filling in for her because she had a family emergency. On behalf of our advising group, which there are many of us, it is our pleasure to present the Thomas A. McMahon Mentoring Award to Dr. Ann Shin. I met Dr. Shin at her very first MIT course registration day and our first advising meeting back in September of 2016. I'm also dating myself with that. Despite still learning the ropes and not even having access to the MIT registration system at the time, Dr. Shin made it clear that she would go the extra mile with a lot of enthusiasm to ensure that I would be supported. On day one, she proactively arranged a contingency plan for my course registration just in case she didn't get access. And about a month later, I unexpectedly received an email, a personalized email, in response to my student report on academic progress, or SRAP, which is a report I wasn't even sure anyone outside of the MD PhD program actually read, and it was clear that Anne had read it very carefully. Since those earlier days, Dr. Shin has helped me navigate multiple transition points in my training, including aiding finding shadowing experiences more recently, and also cheering me on through my recent PhD defense and return to clinical medicine. From our first meeting to now, it has been incredible to see how Dr. Shin has brought our growing advising group together and offered support throughout each of our individual journeys.
So hi, everyone. I'm Nana. I'm a first-year MD PhD student. Moving across the country from California, where all my friends and family were, to Boston for the next 8 years was a really significant and nerve-wracking transition for me. But Dr. Shin played such a big role in helping me adjust to this environment. At the beginning of the year, she met with me one-on-one and normalized my experiences of adjusting to medical school and to a new institutional culture. She remembered when I had exams or important meetings and checked in with me via email and even offered to get dinner with me. These acts of kindness always helped me feel like I had someone to fall back on should anything happen. Dr. Shin also organizes a dinner for us every semester where we all gather and share updates about our journeys in medical and graduate school. And the older students provide advice or comfort to the younger students about various obstacles or challenges ahead. During these dinners, she always makes sure to check in with every single student. She follows up on our important career or life events. She remembers details about us, like what specialties we were interested in when we first got to medical school. And by doing so, she helps us build community and makes this giant institution feel a little bit smaller. During these dinners, Dr. Shin will also share with us personal anecdotes about both the rewarding and challenging aspects of her career as a physician, scientist, and educator. And although it might seem like small conversation, by doing so, she really humanizes the profession, and she makes me feel really excited to join a community of physicians who I not only look up to and admire, but also can relate to on a personal level. So we are absolutely thrilled that Dr. Shin is being recognized for her dedication to mentoring with the Thomas A. McMahon Mentoring Award this year. So please join Sarah and I and our advising group in congratulating Dr. Shin on this really well-deserved honor.
Thank you so much for this incredible honor. I'm beyond grateful to be receiving this award. I first joined the HST community, as Sarah said, 6 years ago in 2016, when Rick Mitchell invited me to serve as an MD advisor to HST medical students. I remember that at my first MD advisory board meeting, all the advisors introduced themselves with their name, their medical specialty, and what year they graduated from HST. As we went around the room of about 30 people, I realized that I was one of only 2 people who had not graduated from HST. And the other person in the room who did not identify as an HST grad was ribbed for having graduated from Harvard Medical School rather than HST. I was also the only psychiatrist and certainly the only advisor from McLean Hospital, a freestanding psychiatric hospital that's about 10 miles from Longwood, in case anyone wasn't familiar with McLean. And when it was my turn, I introduced myself, Ann Shin, a psychiatrist at McLean Hospital, not an HST graduate, but a graduate of UC San Francisco, class of 2005. Part of me wondered at the time, what am I doing here? Did Rick ask the wrong person to be an advisor? But I just said that I hoped my different experience could be helpful in offering a different perspective. And in my first meetings with my advisees, some of these questions persisted. And without having gone through the HST experience, how could I offer tips about courses, professors, or specific labs? But my questions about advising quickly dissipated as I got to know my advisees. I could immediately see their amazing talent, compassion, leadership, and potential. I could also remember what it was like to be in their shoes, experiencing the deep rewards and the challenges of learning to be a doctor, and how important it is at all stages of training to know that someone has your back, that someone supports and believes in you. So with this in mind, I've endeavored to create a supportive and nurturing space where we can leverage the collective wisdom, talent, and leadership of everyone in our advising group. And in this role, I've been humbled, amazed, and truly delighted by the insights, kindness, and resilience of all my advisees. The path to becoming a physician and physician scientist is special and sacred, and it is my privilege and honor to have the opportunity to be even a small part of that journey for my advisees. This mentoring award means so much to me. I thank Rick Mitchell for inviting and welcoming me to be a part of the wonderful community that is HST, and I thank my advisees for their generosity and thoughtfulness in nominating me for this award. So thank you so much.
Congratulations, Dr. Shin. Our next mentorship award of the night is the Seidman Prize for MD Research Mentorship. This prize was established in 2009 by an HST MD alumnus to honor Drs. Christine and Jonathan Seidman for their inspirational mentorship. This year, the Seidman Prize is awarded to Dr. Elazar Edelman, who is, of course, our Director of IMES and the Edward J. Potras Professor of Medical Engineering and Science at MIT. So please welcome my friends, HST students, Kim Lamberti and Effie Goffer, to present Dr. Elazar Edelman his award.
Professor Elazar Edelman not only embodies the ideals of HST as a successful physician scientist, but he is also a selfless and devoted mentor for all of his students. Effie and I have had the honor of observing his mentorship in the lab, the classroom, and the clinic, and his unique blend of compassion and care with intelligence and expertise with a professional yet personable demeanor is inspirational. As said by Dr. Brian Chang, too often we see mentors as professional figureheads that are just our superiors. In contrast, Dr. Edelman fosters us to grow as individuals. He does not train us to be the next version of him, but grows his mentees to be the next version of themselves. In that vein, Effie and I thought we would each share a few of our individual experiences as Elazar's mentees. Personally, coming into grad school, my sights were set on the Edelman lab. Very quickly, Elazar helped integrate me into the lab, and a few weeks later, it was clear to me that I wanted to stay for my PhD. And when I asked him if I could, he instantly agreed and explained that his 3 priorities in life were his family, his patients, and his students, which really highlighted to me his passion for mentorship and welcomed me into what we like to call the Edelman Lab family. Since then, Elazar has had profound impacts on my growth as a scientist, a teacher, and a person. And every time I've thanked him for this, he has a humble habit of blowing me off and telling me it's just his job. But I'd like to highlight that he does not treat this role as just a job. His mentorship and his teaching are truly one of his missions in life.
Scientifically, his ability to process results and guide scientific thought is unlike anyone I have ever met. Professionally, Elazar makes an effort to support us in whichever career path we choose, offering his experiences and connections to help us excel beyond our time in the lab. And personally, I have learned so much from Elazar's compassion, emotional intelligence, and emphasis on work-life balance. Despite being one of the busiest persons I know, Elazar always has his door open for us. He makes the time to support us in our research, but most importantly, in a very candid way, inquires about our well-being and is always there to help and support on personal matters as well, no matter the hour. Since the beginning of the pandemic, Elazar made sure to check in on a weekly basis with each of his mentees, as well as continue to meet weekly with research subgroup meetings, making sure we are all well and feel safe, even when working tirelessly in the clinic. And this was not just for a few months, but continues to this day. While Kim and I have touched just on a few anecdotes, would like to emphasize that several other HST MD and MEP students nominated Elazar as well, and every single person who had spent a period of time in the lab has a unique experience which all follow in the same theme. So Elazar, thank you from all of us for being such a profound mentor and leader in science, in our careers, and in our lives at large. And would now like to invite you to receive your award.
So I'm incredibly humbled. I'd like to ask all of the people who were or consider themselves mentee to just stand for a minute. Rabbi Elazar ben Shemua, whose name I bear, was a great sage, 4th century. And he lived to be 105. And his students asked him at the end of his life how he merited such long life. And his answer defined mentorship. What he said was that I honored my family more than myself, and I valued my students above anything that I valued in myself. And I asked him to explain, and he said, I did 3 things. Asiti bet knesses kapandaria. I never made an amphitheater, an assembly hall, a shortcut. Being a teacher is not a means to a greater end. It is the greatest end. It is the highest honor. Lo pasati al rashe am hakadosh. And I never trampled over the heads of my holy students. Students, he said, are holy. They are the ultimate in embodying what we want the world to look like. Lo nasati et kapai b'li bracha, and I never raised my hand to make a point of what I was taught without blessing those who taught me. Mentorship is about leveraging the learnings of those who taught us to allow those who have entrusted their lives in our hands so that they can teach us how together we can make the world a better place. So I'm honored and I'm humbled and I'm blessed today, not because of the award, but because it's another day where you're teaching me how we can together make the world a better place. I'm incredibly grateful to all of you and hope you'll continue to teach me along the way. Thank you.
Congratulations, Elazar. Our next two awards are the Roger Gmark Service Awards, established in 2019 to honor the contributions of former HST director and current faculty member, Dr. Roger Mark. These awards are presented to individuals who embody excellence through living out our HST community values. And this year, the Roger Gmark Award for faculty goes to Dr. Bill Kettle, who has worn many hats at HST, including being the current co-director of HST 060 Endocrinology. Presenting Dr. Kettle the award, please welcome Dr. Ming Chan, the fellow co-director of HST 060, and Maya Messenger. So please welcome Maya and Ming.
No.
As one of the directors of the HST 060 course, but what you may not know, Bill worked tirelessly to get students back into the classroom. Just shortly into the COVID pandemic and the remote, he decided this is no good. And so he hoped and he prodded and he pled to get people back into the classroom. And the results were really rather everyone. The results were rather charming. And to really speak to the impact that it had on the students, I'm going to hand it over to Maya.
So that made my charming jokes look really lame. But anyways, it's my pleasure to speak from the M2's perspective because clearly by the laughs, like Dr. Kettle has made a big difference in the lives of lots of HST students, but I think he did something really special for our class that makes him extra deserving of this recognition this year. Yeah, he's been a staple of HST for many years, like we said, advocating to switch our official name from HST to TSH, which many of you know, the hormone, to show that this program really metabolizes us into the doctors that we can be. But he did go above and beyond for our class. And as a bit of a context, HST MD cohorts are typically a small group that spend tons of hours together, get to know each other really well, are in class, they have birthday cake together for people's birthdays, they hang out doing P-sets, all that, which was one of the really perks of HST when I was interviewing. But unfortunately for my class, that's not the existence that we got to have. For our first semester of medical school, we were both physically and geographically separated all over the country, learning about the pathology of the jejunum, lots of us from our childhood bedrooms. And not getting to know each other very well, especially after 6.5 hours of Zoom class. It was pretty hard to log back on to do social things. So I think it was pretty isolating, and the transition to medical school is hard regardless, but I think it was harder because of this. But in the winter, HMS finally called us back to Boston. So we all moved, we were so excited, but then COVID spiked again and they told us to stay home, now in our apartments in Boston. It was really hard, and we still lacked that in-person bonding camaraderie that I think is an essential part of HST. No one, and I mean no one, was a bigger advocate for bringing us back together safely as Dr. Kettle. He insisted that social distancing was not what we needed. Physical distancing would keep us free of COVID, and social distancing would just make us feel more isolated. He checked in with us and brainstormed with us for months about how to get us back in person, safely, and most challengingly, following both all of HMS and MIT's rules. Really a feat. He talked to us about, when we were brainstorming about rooms, he told us he had reviewed all of the floor plans in both locations that could fit the HST students to figure out how to fit us in a classroom so that we could be together. He brainstormed ideas like having us get HST branded hula hoops that were 6 foot in diameter that we could wear as bumper cars to make sure we maintain distance. And he even made us these lanyards to hang our masks on when we took them off to get a drink of water or something. So after months of planning, the endocrine team with Bill at the helm had us in person 8 feet apart because they forgot to account for shoulder width, which was a weird HMS rule, across 2 rooms. And you should have seen our class that day. It was so fun to run into each other. figure out that your classmates were more than a face. Like that was crazy. People were way taller or way shorter than you expected. And to be reminded, yeah, that we could be together and learn together. And we maintained physical distance, but the social distance that Dr. Kettle kept talking to us about was gone. And it got smaller and smaller in the time that we got to spend together. And we really have Dr. Kettle's tireless, and I mean tireless work to thank for that. And I tell this anecdote to show how deeply Dr. Kettle cares about advocating for his students' emotional well-being. He fosters a welcoming, interactive environment, which helps us become better collaborators, communicators, and he welcomes feedback and does not shy away from hard questions. And let me tell you, he's been asked some hard questions in front of our class that he answered with grace. He certainly is one of the most charming individuals across HMS, and HST is really lucky to have him. And my M2 class is really, really grateful to you, Dr. Kettle. So I welcome us all into giving him a round of applause.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
These are tough acts to follow. I'm going to try to stay at the podium because Ming, I think, channeled me almost perfectly. I want to let you know that I can do things just a little bit differently sometimes. I'm really very honored to receive this award, but I'm a little uncomfortable also. Getting back to being together was a huge effort that involved lots of people. The endocrine team, Ming and Anna and Julie and Tanisha. It involved the folks in the HST office, Patty Cunningham and David Hansen and Carol and Kate. It was a big effort. And facilities management here at HMS. I met lots of people like Catherine, who's there in the corner helping us. She and her team were instrumental in making that happen. So it was a group effort, and I'm glad to have been part of it, but I'm a little concerned that I didn't do it myself, all of it myself. So, but thank you very much.
Tell us that along the way too.
Did I? Oh, I can't remember. And your class was also helpful. There was a divergence of opinion, and it was we got it together. I'm afraid I'm going to use the word charming a couple of times, so I may have to do that. One of the most charming things about this award is to have it be associated with Roger Mark. Roger Mark is a terrific individual who, think about this repertoire, is an electrical engineer and a primary care physician at the same time. An unbelievable range of skills. And I finally figured out, I think, what his shtick was, if you will. He's an electrical engineer. And what do electrical engineers do? They separate signal from noise, I think. Isn't that what they do most of the time? And he was very, very good at separating signal from noise. And I learned a lot from him, from working with him. And it's wonderful to be part of anything that's got to do with Roger Mark. So I really appreciate that. It's also wonderful to join past recipients of the Roger Mark Award. Patty Cunningham comes to mind, one of the most recent previous winners. Mohini is here, previous winner also. Dr. Hildebrandt and Dr. Van Houten are also previous winners. And the student winners, previewing Simran's stepping up here shortly, Rory Mather, Adam Berger, and Catherine Redfield. So that's really terrific to join that special group of people. And the other thing sort of relates to what Dr. Shin said. She said there were just 2 people in the room who weren't HST graduates, right? I think she said. And she said the other one went to Harvard Medical School and got teased about that, right? I think that's what you said, right? You know who that was? Yeah, that would be me. So although I didn't graduate from Harvard Medical, I didn't graduate from HST, I've been part of the program for a long time. And I think of myself as sort of a chronic student of MIT. And I don't know if and when I'll be able to graduate. So far, the tuition has been manageable. But like many, like a couple of previous speakers, I'm thrilled to be part of a community that teaches each other. And I learn every day that I participate with you all. And so I'm really honored to be here and to be part of this, even though Dr. Shin and I did not graduate from HST. We just want to make that very clear. But we seem welcome, right? It's a nice tent here, and the people are very nice. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kettle. See, I didn't realize it was a recurring theme in the award recipients tonight. So it's good that yeah. So our next award is Roger Gmark Service Award for Students, and this year it's presented to Simran Honda, who, like Dr. Kettle, also wears many hats in HST, including this year being the MD co-chair of the HST Joint Council. So I'd like to please welcome Tom Sal, who will come up and introduce Simran.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to start by reading some remarks from Simran's other nominator, Keegan Mendez, who unfortunately wasn't able to make it here today. So here goes. I am thrilled to help introduce the student recipient of the 2022 Roger Gmark Service Award for her outstanding contributions to the HST community. She's incredibly thoughtful, hardworking, and tireless in her efforts to support students and increase representation within HST. She always prioritizes student interest and wellness and has spearheaded multiple initiatives aimed at community building and strengthening the student experience within HST. I feel lucky to call this student a peer, friend, and role model in her service work. Now, a word or two from me. My job's a little harder because I have to pick different descriptors, but luckily, when it comes to Simran, there's no shortage. The ones that I will choose are fierce, fearless, caring, and advocate. Simran is famously always in a meeting, whether she's working with our ed reps to make sure the students of all backgrounds are able to grasp the material, whether she's managing the budget of the HST Joint Council among many other tasks as the MD co-chair, whether she's elevating students' feedback to administration and being supportive presence as the class wellness chair, or whether she's busy convincing the MD PhD program that they should start a summer training experience for students underrepresented in medicine to gain equitable access to research and medical training, and then assembling a team to build that program from the ground up. Simran is truly devoted to strengthening the bonds of our community and has already begun shaping the HST community of the future. And outside of her thousands of hours of meetings, you'll find her livening up conversations in the class with her love of the microbiome, dermatology, or immunology. And as a class, we've had discussions about many serious topics since starting medical school, and one of them is, if you were an immune cell, which one would you be? If Simran were an immune cell, I personally think that she would be a CD8 positive T regulatory cell. Unconventional in her thinking, but critical for maintaining homeostasis and packing perforant punch. Get things done. Sorry. All singing knowledge and humor aside, I am so grateful to have someone as compassionate, enthusiastic, and dedicated to improving human health as my classmate and friend. So with that, I would like to invite some officers to receive the Roger Gmark Award.
Wow, thank you so much, Tom. So I feel so honored to be receiving this award. I think similar to Dr. Kettle, I feel that so many people in my class and all of HST deserve this award, since service is something that we all do just by showing up to class and being there for each other. First of all, I want to thank the faculty for, because a lot of my service efforts have been directed towards and with faculty. I think it really speaks volumes that HST has produced so many accomplished physician scientists, and yet faculty are still adaptable to change and are understanding that HST has so much more room to grow as we enter the next era of science and medicine. And especially Wolfram for supporting this next curriculum reimagining, which I think is going to be crucial to spearheading the growth of HST. I would also like to thank my council co-chairs, including Maya, who's here, and Amanda, who is here and is a MEMP PhD student. For those who don't know, Joint Council is our student government for HST. And I really think it speaks volumes that HST has its own student government that's realizing that HST has its own special, unique needs. And I love that the faculty and administration is so receptive to working closely with Joint Council, and I feel really honored to represent students on that committee. Also, the Student Wellness Committee, so June is here, and also Kate and David for all of the work that we've done this year in supporting student wellness and making sure student feedback is heard by faculty. And lastly, I would like to thank my class for always showing up for each other and being so supportive. I feel really grateful to represent my classmates, and I feel that I have learned so much from my classmates, even more than I've learned through textbooks, and so I feel really grateful to be part of HST. So for the next 7 years, I'm excited to continue advocating for health equity and including concepts like social determinants of health in our curriculum, and I'm really thankful that the faculty have supported me.
All right, congratulations, Simran. So ending our program tonight, we have the HST Directors Awards for Service, and this year presented to Dr. Lee Gerke and Dr. Richard Cohen. So I'll invite HST co-directors, Dr. Wolfram Gosling and Emery Brown, to come to the stage and present those two awards.
After you. Okay. Welcome, everyone. And there's no better way to celebrate community awards than by coming together as a community. And it's fitting that this is one of our first meetings that we all have together outside of regular classes where we're here in person. I wanted to thank all the students here who contributed to making this afternoon possible and working so hard and selecting and electing those amongst us and you who really stand out in service. But as Elazar said earlier, the community is really you, and we are all here to serve you. And so for all of us to celebrate that is, I think, is a great occasion. And now it's my distinct honor to present the HST Directors Award to Dr. Lee Gerke. He is the Hermann von Helmholtz Professor of Health Sciences and Technology at MIT and a Professor of Microbiology and Immunobiology at Harvard Medical School. Lee is stepping down as the course director of HST 010 Anatomy after 40 years of service and teaching. And before I go into some of the details of anatomy, I just want to highlight that Lee really epitomizes our community, being a pillar both at MIT, here at HMS, and for many of you will know that his influence and impact has actually extended, where he, with his late wife Deborah, was the house dean of Quincy House and has shaped and mentored and guided generations of undergraduate students. And I think in all your efforts and activities, I think you really have trained and formed the future generation of a future generation of scientists and doctors, and that's been remarkable. Anatomy at HST is a unique experience, and some may say it's sort of the last bastion of where we teach how we used to teach. It's a hands-on, full immersion into the human body, and Lee, together with his co-teachers and really teaching staff, has been recognized again and again for and appreciated for both the amount of time he and everyone spends with a student and the depth of insight that is being gained. And apart from the content that is being transmitted, because of the time and the location on the timeline with all of our students here at HST early on, it also is a true opportunity for all of the students to actually build community. And I've heard maybe marriages have been formed over this as well, looking at you, June. And despite this rich history and of teaching, Lee, when it came to adapting to the pandemic, he was ready to say, okay, I guess we're not doing this in person, at least not now, and we're going virtual. And I think it's one thing, to do biochemistry virtual. It's a totally other thing to do anatomy virtual. And so I know, I think at least a bit what it took, and so my deepest respect for that. Anatomy is also hard, because I think us dealing with dead bodies is emotionally taxing. And for you to help our students really approach that part of training and medicine, and this really being, in a way, a first patient experience, and making that memorable and a point of instruction rather than a point of dread, I think also takes special skill and time and insight. And I thank you for that as well. So again, Lee, this really comes from, I think, all of us with deep appreciation and thanks for all your years of service that we give you this Directors Award. And thank you again. Please come on. Congratulations.
So about 40 years ago, I was a postdoc in Building 16 at MIT, and I got a phone call, a very unexpected phone call. And the call was from Irving, London. And I knew who Irving London was, but I'm thinking, why is he calling me? And so what he asked was, would I be interested in being considered for a faculty position teaching anatomy and running a laboratory in the Harvard MIT program? Now, part of this wasn't a complete surprise, because I did learn anatomy when I was a graduate student and taught it to medical and dental students. But honestly, I never thought that that training would have any role in my career going forward. So going back to his question, would I like to be considered for this position? Well, yeah. Could you imagine anyone saying anything else? I mean, excuse me, Irving, I'll have to get back to you on that. It's the Harvard MIT program. Something better might come up. I'll let you know. So that call then was followed by my taking the Red Line down to Harvard College, where I met Farish Jenkins, immortalized by Patty behind us here. And Farish Jenkins was a great vertebrate paleontologist and anatomist, and was the director of the course, and really is the person who laid the foundation for the course, even as it is today. So I spoke with Farish. I was very fortunate to be offered the position, and then for 25 years taught the course with Farish, and then he stepped away from the course, and then I directed it for another 15. So this course is not one that can be taught by a single person. It really is a group effort. So like the awardees who have come before me, I will also thank
all of the students and the teaching staff. And one of the first people I want to acknowledge after Farish is Patty. Patty and I joined the program at about the same time. And over the years, she just became such a wonderful friend and colleague, and was, as we all know, the source of all knowledge and information in HST. And really, the course would not have run the way it did without her. And I'm really grateful to Patty. There are a few other people that I want to mention over the years. Some of the people who work kind of behind the scenes for the course that were such a great help for me. Mark Cicchetti and Cedric Lodge, who work in the morgue, were incredible colleagues to teach with over the years. Sam Kennedy was a man who I taught with for many years, and then he and Cindy McDermott were responsible for making prosected materials available for the course, and they too were just wonderful to work with. There's been a long list of faculty contributors who've participated in teaching O1O over the years, and I'm going to leave some out. I hope you'll forgive me, but some of the people who have taught with us include Dan Lieberman from Harvard College, Nelson Kiang, who talked about hearing and neurophysiology, Larry Young, just recently passed away, talked to us about being an astronaut and how balance mechanisms were important. Tina Stankovich, who actually worked with Nelson, participated in the course and really brought engineering and medicine together. Hugh Hare from MIT, who's made such progress with bionics, taught in the course. Chuck Oman, even Elio Raviola, who's not an HST person. He taught pathways anatomy, but also gave some lectures in our course, a real master anatomist. And then recently, my dear colleagues who've been teaching with me, I want to acknowledge Priscilla Slanitz, who really reinvigorated the way we teach radiology in the course. And of course, Mohini and Trudy and Sabina, thank all of them for being such great colleagues. So, 40 years is a long time to teach one course. And I would like to make some space for some new thoughts, some new fresh ideas in teaching the material. I think that's good for the program. I think it's good for me. I'm looking forward to participating and serving HST in other ways, perhaps teaching a bit more on the PhD side of HST. But I am truly grateful for this honor, and I share it with all the other people who have taught. And I'm very grateful to be here today. So thank you very much.
For our final, For our final award tonight, I'm pleased to present the HST Directors Award for Service to Dr. Richard Cohen, Whitaker Professor of Biomedical Engineering Emeritus at MIT. Dr. Cohen retired in March of this year. Dr. Cohen has been part of HST for over 50 years, first as an HST MD student in 1971, after completing his medical residency as a member of the HST faculty. Dr. Cohen has exemplified the role of physician scientist, dedicating his efforts to research, teaching, and service at the interface of science and medicine. We are grateful to all his contributions in training HST physicians, scientists, and entrepreneurs over the years. At various times, Dr. Cohen directed core HST courses, including cardiovascular pathophysiology and pharmacology. For many years, Dr. Cohen served as an HST lead for joint educational programs with the MIT Sloan School of Management, co-directing Biomedical Enterprise Program from 2004 to 2012. Since 2013, he's been one of the 3 members of the committee that directs the continually growing Sloan Healthcare Certificate Program, and he has taught 2 courses as part of this program: Medicine for Managers and Entrepreneurs, and Pro Seminar, and Evaluating a Biomedical excuse me, business concept. Richard, thank you for your exemplary service and contributions to HST. We wish you all the best in your retirement.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. And Dr. Cohen left us a pre-recorded video message as well. I believe he's also tuning in on Zoom, but let's hear from him right now.
Hello, everyone. I'm very honored to receive this award. I've been associated with HST for a very long time. In fact, my entire post-college career has been HST. I first joined HST in 1971 as a member of the inaugural MD class. I can tell you that at that time, members of this class were very worried. They were concerned whether with all the emphasis on interdisciplinary science, they would receive enough standard medical school instruction to be able to pass part one of the national boards. This anxiety passed only after we took part one of the national boards and in fact scored higher than the rest of the Harvard Medical School class. Before I entered HST, I asked Irving London, the founding director of HST, whether HST would have an MD PhD program. He responded that he planned to set one up in due course. I jumped the gun and immediately applied to the PhD program of the MIT Physics Department, and after being accepted, informed Dr. London that in fact HST already had an MD PhD program. He smiled and supported me throughout. After completing my degrees, I went on to do a residency at what was then the Peter Van Brigham Hospital and continued doing research at MIT and George Benedict's laboratory. After completing my residency, I returned to MIT as an HST faculty member, and I was privileged for many years to teach the cardiovascular pathophysiology course, and then for many years, the pharmacology course. In more recent years, I've worked with the MIT Sloan School to run programs and teach courses in biomedical enterprise. Based on my experience as a student and later as a faculty member, I can confidently state that HST provided the best possible environment that one could hope for in which to develop my career. Members of the HST community, whether students, faculty, researchers, or staff, were all mutually supportive. Everybody seemed to want everybody else to truly succeed. People were truly excited about the innovative teaching programs and the numerous multidisciplinary projects being conducted by HST students, faculty, and research staff. I'm very grateful to all the members of the HST community that have made HST such a vibrant and welcoming community. I cannot think of another place I would have wanted to spend the past 50 years. Thank you all.
Wonderful. Congratulations again to Dr. Gerke and Dr. Cohen. Actually, can we have one more round of applause once more for all of our awardees and nominators tonight? Fantastic. So as you know, we don't hold events like these ourselves, and a common theme in all the speeches has been acknowledging the people who are behind the scenes who may sometimes go unacknowledged. And so, I really want to take a moment to thank Tracy, Zarina, David, Catherine, Kate, Lori, and Megan, who really are, the backbone of so much of what we do in HST, without whom today's event really would not be possible. So can we also give them, who are hiding in the corner, a big round of applause? Fantastic. Thank you very much. And now the final thing is, for our in-person attendees, we'd like to invite you upstairs to room 306, where there's an optional sort of dinner reception to follow. You'll find these signs around the room with there's 5 different individually packed dinner options with these dietary restrictions, and there's dinner and dessert upstairs as well. So with that, let's give one more round of applause and thank you all very much for coming tonight.